dear members of SCCC, dear partners and friends from China and Switzerland and around the globe. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to have you here with us today. Welcome to today's webinar, Hype or Reality, Blockchain Status Quo and Applications from China. My name is Beilun Wei. I am the General Manager of the Swiss-Chinese Chamber of Commerce, and I will be your moderator today. This forum is jointly hosted by SCCC and Accenture and supported by Swiss Champ Beijing. Blockchain, a buzzword we have heard so many times and still a mystery to many of us. So today with Accenture and Tencent, we will explain you what this technology is and also which blockchain applications China already has. And then we will dive into a more specific area, namely the Tencent blockchain solution. So our first guest speaker is Björn Obermeier from the Blockchain and Multi-Party System and EMEA Technology Lead at Accenture. He will give us an introduction to the blockchain technology. Björn Obermeier brings over 20 years of IT industry experience and is a highly renowned leader and expert in blockchain, distributed ledgers, as well as solution design for workplace services in IT outsourcing. Before I hand over, just a quick note. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A and we will address them at the end of the webinar. For your information, this recording of this webinar will be made available on the event website after this event today. So you can just go on the website and then watch it there again. So now, Mr. Obermeier, I hand over to you. Thank you for being with us today.
Well, thank you for having me today. Let me share my screen and please tell me if it's visible.
Yeah.
Can you see it? Okay. So today I'm going to give you a brief overview of what blockchain is, why it was invented, what challenges blockchain is actually using, give you an idea of where blockchain is right now. I'm speaking a little bit about the evolution that blockchain has taken. Explain the state of play, what we've seen in our experience, where blockchain is, and highlight a little bit on the key market areas and areas of applicability where we see traction for blockchain. So what is blockchain technically? So blockchain is using basically a distributed ledger to store transactions which are shared amongst all the participants that are part of this network. There are various topologies out there when it comes to a blockchain network, but generally speaking, I think it's important to understand that the data and the transactions are shared amongst the participants. It is using messaging to represent information and share this with the participants between all the nodes, and this information that is distributed and shared via messaging can be of monetary or any kind of value. Blockchain technically is using cryptography to ensure that the transactions are verifiable and the system is tamper evident / tamper proof. And most importantly, blockchains are using a consensus mechanism, so a mechanism to agree to a common truth. And I think this is combining all these technologies together is basically the innovation that blockchain many years ago, in 2009, brought along. So why was blockchain invented actually? So it was invented to prevent the double spending problem and to transfer value without any intermediary. If you look at the left side, you see how our classical monetary financial system works. We have banks in the middle or any kind of intermediaries. If we exchange between unknown participants, if we exchange information, We have a clearinghouse in the middle. We have a central authority who makes sure that we do not double spend money or some kind of information. Now with blockchain, basically, there is no central authority. You could even say there's a decentral authority. And we're using protocols to make sure that we only transfer information once, that we only spend something once. This is basically the big invention that blockchain in 2009 revealed, and which led to many of the use cases and many of the solutions that we currently use. So what is the challenge that blockchain, specifically in an enterprise context, is trying to solve? So if you look at this picture, it looks messy at first, and this is intentionally because that somehow represents how our traditional systems work, right? So we have, a lot of tools essentially doing the same thing, and every organization, every industry, created their own solution, their own tools to meet the needs that they have. And that kind of works very good in isolation. But when it comes to, collaboration between entities, between organizations, between, different economic models, currently there's an issue with data being sent back and forth. And a lot of times, if you look on the left side in our message-based business models, the question is, can you send me, what I need? Here's what I know. Do you know the same? Can you send it again? I'm not quite sure. I have to write version of it. I changed this, this piece of information. Can you send it forward? Can you bounce it off? And basically, in this message-based business model that we have right now, there's a lot of information being sent back and forth. There's a lot of reconciliation done because it's all different systems, and oftentimes it is really the question like, do I see the same thing as you see? With blockchain-based systems, basically we have a shared access to the same data, right? And the prevailing question is then, I see what you see. Because with blockchain, if everybody has the same view on the same information and it's shared amongst the participants can verify that it only exists once and has clear ownership. Basically, a blockchain-based system will inflict trust. Trust can be described in various forms. It can be, trust in terms of data integrity, data accuracy, and it can be the baseline for business automation then going forward, because you know who holds information, who held it before, and you know the intent of that information, and you would even know when it should cease to exist. So where's blockchain today? If you look at the phone in the middle, so that's a Motorola Razr, I suppose. And if you look at the evolution of the mobile network markets, blockchain is where the Motorola Razr was within the mobile evolution. So we have, the networks to power this mobile phone. And likewise, it is true for blockchain. The infrastructure is there, the use cases are there. There's people using it. But if you look at the evolution of the mobile applications with the iPhone 13, I think is the latest, there's still a lot of services to be added, and there's a lot of stuff yet to come, and the very same is true for blockchain. So if you look at the timeline of what has happened, and to answer the question whether it is still a hype or a reality, if you just look back the recent years, like 7 years ago, the prevailing question was like, what is it? How can it be used? Show me how the technology works. I want to understand if a current process can be done via blockchain. And as we, as the years, went by and we had, proof of concepts, the first enterprise blockchain platforms evolved. We had the solid version once in 2018, and we tried to understand, what is the value that blockchain can have, because the questions on the technical side were answered. Then we got into the question of, can blockchain scale? And these questions were answered as well. There are then pre-production environments, and solid version 2s in 2020 were introduced. And now we are where we are trying to answer the question, how can we transform industries and markets, and then ultimately as well, what are the new products and markets and services that we can create? This is a question for this year and the many years to come. So if you ask me if blockchain is a hype or reality, I would definitely say it's a reality because we are adopting it in various industries already. And it's an integral part of existing landscapes and architectures. So the state of play, to generalize what is important to understand for blockchain, is that version 2 is already, as I just alluded to in the timeline. Version 3s are to come, and real change will be driven, and it gives us the opportunity as well to completely rewire how our ecosystems work and our industry works. There's much more innovation ahead. Security is still key. So if you think about blockchain solutions, integrating them into your architecture, into your system services, have an eye on security, how to manage all keys that are required. There's traditional problems with traditional solutions out there. Identity is as well core, the digital identity. If you include IoT, Internet of Things, persons, organizations, everybody needs to have an identity to be able as well to utilize the uniqueness of blockchain and prove and track the ownership. I said we're moving from show me how it works to how can we transform, how can we create something new. Interoperability is still required. Interoperability on many fronts. How do you interoperate with existing services? But if networks evolve and when networks evolve, how do you interoperate between those? And most importantly, blockchain is a team sport. You cannot do it alone. Blockchain is geared to solve an ecosystem problem. So you need to know your audience, you need to know your friends, find friends early, speak with participants, have a view on what blockchain is and what it can do, and find the right friends and players in your industry, from a technology perspective as well, to understand how blockchain can help solving some of your challenges. For the key market areas that we've seen over the last, I would say, 7 years, you can basically bucket them in like 3 focus areas. So we see great adoption in financial infrastructure, which I guess is not a surprise because, with the first application, Bitcoin, the monetary aspect and solving some of our financial systems inabilities was, of course, the first ones to solve. We see a lot of traction in the field of digital identity, being it self-sovereign identity, digital identities, wallets, and as well, in the light of Web 3.0, the metaverse, and all the cool stuff yet to come. This will be a crucial component as well. And of course, in supply chain, with track and trace of goods to sort, to help getting more visibility, more transparency, more trust in the systems to fight as well food wastage, to increase the information that we have, when it comes to sustainability, to make sure we understand how and where we use what specifically. I've put a little extract here on the slide as well on things that we've worked on and things that we've seen that are really interesting, I think, for Europe, and that could resonate as well within China. And one thing later on, we'll go into some use cases and experience from out of China. But we do see really, frictionless travel with digital identity, that you can use, biometrics and prove digitally who you are, when hopefully soon we can all travel again. We see a great deal of traction with CBDC, so central bank digital currencies. And for me, this is evidence, the evidence overall, when a central bank says, okay, we're using blockchain or a distributed ledger as the technology basis, and they have to use it at scale to enable a central bank currency, a digital currency for citizens. This needs to have a proper and scalable technology basis. We see as well a lot of traction in the automotive industry, and specifically in the digital supply chain, to track information and to make sure that with the more digitized service that we have in our vehicles, We have answers to cybersecurity threats as well, as we have all this information. And of course, with track and trace, we want to have, safer pharmaceutical supply chains that we really know, where did stuff originate from, how was it transported, and make sure that this information can be exposed when and if needed. And with that, I would like to shift gears a little bit and to then introduce the next speaker, which is Wanting.
So thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Obermeier, for this introduction and also for answering already our question. So it is definitely a reality. So this gives us the perfect introduction to our next guest speaker, Mrs. Wanting Huang, Tech Innovation Strategy Manager at Accenture. Ms. Huang is born in Shandong, China, and lives currently in Germany. She has 10 years of consulting experience in Accenture, the last 5 years focusing on the market development and project implementation of multi-party systems, including blockchain technology. So Ms. Huang is here today with us to show us some application examples from China. Thank you as well, Ms. Huang, for being with us today. I hand over to you. The floor is yours.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for the kind introduction, and thanks for having me here. I would like to spend the next 10 minutes to give you a glimpse of the blockchain space in China. And here I've chosen this overview from CAICT, 中国信通院. This is a governmental scientific research institution and directly under the Ministry of Industry and IT of China. I've chosen this list, which is the 6th batch of trusted blockchain evaluation results. There is total 37 products which passed the evaluation. And it is one of the most important and authoritative blockchain product capability evaluation in China, and really covering multiple dimensions. Of course, some basic functionalities and performance security, but also more specific capabilities like blockchain as a service, cryptographic, and use case specific, for example, supply chain, finance, traceability, or applications in public sector. So it evaluates comprehensive product capabilities in a rather all-around and systematic manner, which really have great value in guiding business and companies to apply blockchain in their innovation and product development. And this list includes some of the most important names you would see in the Chinese market, includes Tencent Cloud, which we'll hear a little bit more from our next speaker, Baidu Superchain, Ant Group, Chulian Technology, etc., etc. And I would like to take more actually from the use case angle with 2 examples from this list. One is Ant Chain, and the other one is Baidu Superchain. Actually, both products are also listed in the Forbes Top 50 blockchain in 2021. So the first example is from Cherry and Antchain about electric vehicle ecosystem. For anyone who is not familiar with Antchain or Ant Group, it is actually an Alibaba spin-off. And Antchain today has more than 50 blockchain applications in production and development with its own blockchain platform. Chery or Qirui is a Chinese state-owned automotive manufacturer. In last year, it sold close to 1 million vehicles globally. And just to give a reference, this is about half of the BMW global sales the same year. And within the Chery commercial vehicle segment, one of the key focus area is the electric commercial vehicle. For example, logistic vehicle, and also in the field of online car booking, similar to Uber. And in their journey, extending their role from a car manufacturer alone and to a more system operator, they would like to provide customers with a more integrated platform on transport capacity and also a more integrated industry ecosystem solution. So their current business covers vehicle sales, of course, and leasing operations, financial services, but also services and platform, which can provide customers with capacity planning, electric logistic vehicles, and also online booking through their own integrated platform, including internal but also external resources. So the industry pain point on this one is that the electric logistic vehicle generally lack a trust mechanism, which also needs a certain level of market awareness. And with the current status, it's affecting the collaboration of all parties in this industry. So, and within that, the financial leasing problem, and also for the commercial vehicle sales, is the core pain point. There is a significant lack of, for example, credit reference and lack of historical data and risk control measures by the employer. And the traditional credit loans cannot cover those, more modern and often young self-made driver users, like Uber driver users, right? And then the third-party fund, which exists on the market, often lack digital capabilities and are difficult to be understood and also be accepted in the business context. So in the solution that was collaboratively developed to address this challenge, it covers basically three main focus areas. The first one is that the end chain provides the vehicle link technology, combining IoT and blockchain to realize the credibility of the source data via a built-in chip in the vehicle. And the second one is to create an innovative risk control management, which allow third parties funders to understand and accept the trusted data on chain, which enables them to provide a more financial inclusive service for individual drivers and also small business owners. And the third one is to realize and utilize real-time data feedback of the blockchain technology to prevent fraud, while also in advance to prevent fraud in advance, but also accelerate the monitoring progress in the sustainability initiatives. So this is the first example. And this example is rather recent from last year, and in a new industry area of electric vehicles, which leveraged blockchain technology to reinvent the business. And the next example is a little bit different. It's more in the traditional or classic industry, and it has been launched already since 2018. And this example is aiming to make an existing business more efficient. So the second example is about the Tianping chain, and Tianping stands for scales of justice, and the Tianping chain is also called Liver chain. It is actually the first application product of Baidu superchain, and the Tianping chain is a blockchain electronic evidence platform that has been jointly built by leading tech companies like Baidu, but also with the government. The Ministry of IT Security Center, for example. There are many parties involved usually in a court process. For anyone who has experience in that, on this platform, there are 17 different agencies, including appraisal center, a notary office, and some others. Those 17 agencies and governmental institutions are joined on this platform as a blockchain node, which would have access to 24 different applications, which could be leveraged during a court process. And the number of nodes and application volumes are really ranked as the top or even the first in the Chinese judicial industry. So Baidu itself is already a leading digital content copyright service platform in China. And there are very large collection of evidence and infringement data has been already recorded in a separate copyright chain from Baidu. And this data is synchronized to the Tianping chain through a cross-chain technology. So when the infringement occurs, it can really assist the judge to carry out evidence presentation and also evidence acceptance. So the cost of right protection, for example, for different parties is largely reduced. And the source of electronic evidence could be more trustworthy, and the efficiency for the judge to accept those electronic evidence is also greatly improved. So what I want to show these two examples is that blockchain actually have already been a reality in China since a couple of years. But I work with Beyond a lot with clients, and we see often there is a common pitfall. So applying the technology, when we're applying the technology in the enterprise context, we should start with a business challenge, whether that is to reinvent the business or to make the existing process or business services more efficient. But the technology alone should not be the starting point and will not be the answer alone. Yeah, so with that, I would like to hand back to our host for our next speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Wang, for those two excellent examples, how they are applied in China. So, as our third and last speaker, I welcome Mr. Oscar Abulimit from Tencent Cloud Europe. Mr. Abulimit will explain us today what the Tencent Cloud is, and also more specifically what the Tencent blockchain solution is. Mr. Abulimit is responsible for strategic business development in the Western European region at Tencent Cloud Europe. He supports international customers with their digital transformation and connects them with Chinese end users, leveraging the Tencent ecosystem. Mr. Abulimit has more than 10 years of working experience at AWS and Ali Cloud before he joined Tencent then in 2021. So I hand over to you, Mr. Abulimit. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Let me share my screen. So, can you see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Now we see your presenter mode.
Sorry. Sorry. Hold on. Hold on. Let me share it again.
Now we see your computer screen.
Oops.
With all the folders.
Sorry for that. It's a little bit technical issue. Let me share it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should work this time. Oops. Hold on. Okay. I see what's going on. Show. Okay, can you see that now?
Yes, we can. Yeah, now it's perfect.
Okay, yeah, sorry for a technical issue. Thanks for invitation from Swiss Chinese Chamber, and thanks for presentation from Accenture China Bridge. So I'm Oscar, I'm from China. So today I will give introduction about some of our blockchain solutions. We will focus on one of our past solution called TBAS, Tencent Blockchain as a Service. So this would be my agenda. I will give a little bit introduction about Tencent and Tencent Cloud for the people who doesn't know too much about Tencent. And then we will focus on our past platform, TBAS, and then we will also share some of the scenario and use cases for the solution. Okay, so for Tencent, so we have many different business domains. So Tencent is one of the biggest social network platform in China. You might have heard some of our applications like WeChat or QQ. Like WeChat is one of the main kind of networking platform with over 1 billion MAU every day. So literally all of the end users, or let's say the customers, are on the platform of Tencent networking platform. And Tencent is also a digital content platform. As we can see, we provide different category of digital platform like videos, news, music, literature, and in all of area we are ranked #1 by active users or revenue. And Tencent is also one of the important commercial platform. We provide some enterprise solution to help enterprise or customers to have digitalization, like a payment solution and cloud, which we will focus on today. Also one of the different important sector of commercial offer. And of course, games. Tencent is originated from games. You might have heard some of famous game like Epic Games or Riot Games, all published by Tencent. So Tencent is one of the main developers, distributors and publishers in the world by either by users, active users, or by revenue. So if you look at all the framework or landscape of Tencent's business, it's all about connection. So connecting people with people, connecting people with devices, connecting devices with devices, and connecting companies with digital solution and the tools and platforms. So this is about Tencent. And Tencent Cloud, which we will focus, and then the product that we will talk is from Tencent Cloud, is one of the largest, one of the fastest growing cloud company in the world. Now we are ranked number 6 in terms of infrastructure, and then we have 27 regions and 68 AZ or availability zone. It's region and AZ is kind of concept for our cloud data centers in different geolocation. And we have over 2,100 acceleration nodes. It's known as CDN. Will help you to distribute your content in different area. And then we also are growing over 100% year-over-year base. So that's why it's one of the fastest growing cloud company. And we also have over 70 certifications, which assure us to be compliant and regulated properly in different areas. And one thing to note, also Tencent is one of the strong player in some niche market like Russia. Currently, only Tencent has region and infrastructure in Russia market. Like other main player actually they don't have any existence yet in that market. So after that, we will come to our main topic, blockchain solution. So I will start from overall solution architect or framework. So we will peel it off from the bottom to the top. So at the bottom, it's cloud infrastructure. It will empower all of our applications or platforms that we provide. Everything will be provided on the cloud. It can be in different mode. It can be public cloud, it can be private cloud, or it can be finance zone as well. A finance zone is kind of a specific cloud, which is more secure and highly regulated area. And private cloud is kind of a private mode. And then after that, on the top of that, we have one kind of mature blockchain platform called TBAS. So what it does is literally it will help you build your chain and manage your chain and either extend your chain easily with a scalable infrastructure. So talk about chain, I'll just want to give a little bit extra elaboration about chains. I think our other colleagues from Accenture also talk about some chains like Ant chain, Tianping chain. So there are different kinds of chains, public chain, private chain, and they're also like a consortium chain as well. So public chain is some of the chain you might heard about like Bitcoin or Ethernet. They all created or they supported with a public chain. And then kind of private chain is it's also blockchain. They have all characteristic of blockchain, but there will be validator, main validator, or it will be some community to build that chain and then transfer information on top of that. So what this platform mainly focus on is private and consortium chain, like Fabric. It's one of the kind of main open source chain as well, protocol as well, like Corda, R3. You might have about it. It's either a private chain or consortium chain. So we will support those chains, and on top of that, there are different applications, either provided by Tencent in a form of SaaS or with SDK like TDID. It's distributed identification system. Also, the colleague from Accenture kind of emphasized that identity verification is one of the main case for blockchain, and also some of the smart contract, some supply chain as well. So this is kind of overall aspect. So what we provided is infrastructure and platform, and we either integrate some of the mature partners SaaS platforms on top of that, or we will provide our managed SaaS platform on that. So this is kind of overview, and then we will talk about TBAS later. So before we get into the details of that platform, I want to emphasize some of the achievements that we had with this platform. We entered top 50 blockchain providers by Forbes in 2020, and we also recognized one of the leading industrial blockchain solution providers by Gartner. Also, we are awarded at World Internet Conference at 2020 for our blockchain services and some of the use cases we provided. So from patent perspective, we are #1 patent provider in China. We have patents in different aspects, either some of the chain invention or some of the key technology, and also some of the use cases as well. So another important area is standard, because this is quite, it's not really new technology, but there are still like laws and legislations following with the change. So everyone is looking at, but we need to have a standard to extend this technology. So Tencent is actually contributing technology and their understanding for standards. Like some of the standards that already widely used in industry is like DLT-based invoice, electronic invoice at ITUT. This is the standard that Tencent actually mainly joined and designed. So, and this is already widely applied by Shenzhen Tax Bureau in a real life. And there are also some of the other use cases that we actually joining, like trusted blockchain or some blockchain-based cross-border payment as well. Okay, so partnership. I think the colleague from Accenture also mentioned that ecosystem is really important in blockchain, especially if you want to do private or consortium chains. We need different entity to join, and we need different solutions from different entity. So we have different partners in different area, like in security, smart city, evidence storage. We will share one of the actual use case from evidence storage as well. Privacy computing is also one of the key topic in cloud computing, like how you make sure that the computing is processing in secure and privacy area or infrastructure. And finance, IoT as well. This is kind of all overall a platform of our ecosystem. So the way we work with our partners is either we mainly provide platform, like open source platform, and partners can land in our platform to provide their SaaS solutions, or they will be joined our kind of a independent solution provider for different area. Okay, so saying that, now we talk about TBAS. So it's as we mentioned, it's kind of a platform as a service for blockchain. It will support mainly private and consortium chain, and it's out of box. That's also one of the main character of all cloud-based application. It means that you use when you need, and then you only pay what you use. And it's elastic because it's cloud-based. You can scale it up and scale it down based on your request. And it's also easy to use. We will introduce a little bit that. Normally, if you want to deploy or set up your own chain, it's over 10,000 or sometimes 20,000 code of lines. So it will take a lot of time, and then you need to have a professional team to maintain and configure properly to manage. So it's in managed platform, it will be way more easier. So some of the key features, it's consortium governance, as we mentioned, and it's visual monitoring. We have slides for that. It's just several steps that you need to follow the step, and you can create your own chain, and then you can invite some parties or entities to join and manage together. Quick configuration, and it's also we provide with the API and SDK, so you can either integrate with your own environment and platform as well. Okay, so the way we provide, or the way you can host that platform, it's vary. It depends on your actual request. Like if some of the internet company will tend to use public cloud because they are more cost effective, and they need to agile hosting. And for some of the regulator or government department, they have more concern in terms of security and compliance. They will use private or hybrid or some dedicated cloud as well. So in terms of the specific operation, as I mentioned, it's quite easy to use. Some of the key steps are you just need to create an account in the platform, and then you can create consortium, or it's kind of a association. You can understand them an association. Let's say you want to create a bank association with court or some of the related alliance to transfer to transmit information and kind of trust each other with the aligned chain. So this you can create the consortium easier and invite members. That's also one of the key difference in blockchain. Actually, you don't need a validator as long as you have you invested a proper property, like either computing resources or storage resources. You can enter the chain and you can contribute, and you can get rewarded by coin or other stuff. But for consortium, it's more secure. It's only by invitation, and then there will be a validator, either a central validator, or it's kind of a contract that everyone agreed, and then it will be managed with in the chain. And then you can create your network, create different chain and different nodes, and then you can distribute those nodes to different entities. And then it will be a smart contract process, deploy contract, and then kind of process, install the contract. So from a big picture, it's clear, and there are just some key steps. But for a specific case, there will be some other configuration or aspects as well. So this is kind of overall introduction about TBAS. And from user case, what we see is there are two main cases, which is kind of more suitable for blockchain or for consortium or private blockchain. One is identification verification, and the other one is kind of a base evidence storage. So we'll talk about that a little bit. For identification verification, as we know, one of the downside of internet is there's no identification verification. So it can transfer the message. It will tell you what kind of I think it's mentioned by Accenture colleagues as well. You can get what you need, but you can't trust it is sent by the trustful alliance. So it's kind of, there's no validator. That's why we use CA or other certification in the internet to trust each other. But it's one of the downsides in a traditional mode. As we can see, I mean, every department, every entity have their own way of logic of identification. And then when they need cross-check, or when they need kind of a validation from other department, they need to touch base one by one. And then after that, there are some platform, kind of mutual platform that everyone agreed. And then other users or other entity, they can actually log into or get some basic user ID information from other platform with a trusted central platform. But in blockchain, for entity, they will focus on their own algorithm. They just create whatever they create for users, and then they will store wherever they want to store their message. But there will be a chain, there will be blockchain. Every information, or basically kind of verification ID information, will be turned into code and then stored in the chain. So when they need a cross validate or when they need to check information, they just need to get those information with their token, which is distributed by the chain. In this way, actually, it will increase the efficiency, and everyone, they don't really need to trust each other. They just need to trust the chain that they created, and then they can process the data based on that. So for evidence storage, so it's also kind of a typical scenario. How it works is when we have electronic data, either from, let's say, from bank or other company or some third-party entity, they will turn them into hash value using some hash algorithm, and then they will upload it to the chain, the blockchain that they created. It can be like different chains, like from Tencent perspective, we have a Jushin chain, and then maybe from Ali perspective, their end chain or different chains, whatever. And then for court, also one member of this consortium network, they can get those evidence or validate those evidence with the token that given by the blockchain, the chain, and then they can validate those information and evidence easily. So for specific case, we have one case from CCB, Construction Bank. What they did is they have an application called Quick Loan. What it does is it will provide one-stop services to the customers to have their loan. Like they will have real-time loan application. They have real-time approval and signing grants and repayments. All the process will be finished by one platform. But there's one kind of pain point when they have a fraud account or some of the users, they can't pay or they cheated on that. They need to initiate lawsuit. And for this, they need to provide all of the evidence and the data they had, and then the court need to validate it. So validate it from either with a different third party, independent third party, or other method. So this is kind of downside. And then what they did is they used a chain. It's a Jushin chain. It's also kind of the chain, the managed chain provided by Tencent. And then they will store all of the evidence information with the code to the chain, and then court, as a member of this consortium blockchain, they can just validate those information from the chain. They don't even talk. They don't need to talk to the customer. They need to talk to the bank. So some of the key information they stored are like identity verification, quick loan contract, some grant data as well. And then this is also extended to some of their franchise, like in different province. This is the kind of case for blockchain. And we also have different other cases in other area. You can see that mainly from a government section, finance, tax, education, either, and some of the big data officer, government officer as well. And also there are some of internet company that we mentioned. They mainly use public chain or other their own application built on our PaaS platform. Let me see. Okay, yeah, this is pretty much all content that I want to deliver today. I hope you learned something, and I think we will have a Q&A section at the end to cover more questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abu Limit, for your presentation. I did understand that TBAS is actually standing for Tencent Blockchain as a Service. I guess that's the correct guess.
That's correct.
Thank you for again those user cases, which were very interesting. So now we have some time for questions. I will read them aloud, and then I hope I get to pick the right person to answer. If it's the wrong one or if someone feels to be more eligible to answer, please feel free. So the first one is, do you think that the blockchain will minimize the use of the traditional banking system or replace it entirely in the future? Regarding the example to slide 4, given the time, I guess this is to Björn Obermeier.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I'm happy to take it. I don't think it is gonna minimize the use, and it shouldn't. It's, you know, blockchain-based systems, DLT, in my mind, would complement our current financial systems, right? So our central banks are the ones who, you know, define what currency is in the given jurisdiction. And I think where blockchain will help is, you know, on all the financial infrastructure in the back end that is fueling our financial system. So to have, you know, settlement faster, to trade securities, to digitize assets that were intangible before. And I think that is where blockchain as a technology will complement current systems. If the question is about, you know, whether Bitcoin will, you know, basically be the leading currency, I guess it will never be a currency. It is a, you know, digital token. But I suppose, again, our current financial system as it is will remain as it is, but blockchain will further make it more economic, make it faster, and solve some of the challenges that are not possible with current technology.
Okay. Okay, thank you for this explanation.
Sure.
Let's move to the next one. Would you consider Chinese blockchain products as a safe investment project for European investors? I guess one thing.
Yeah, I can. I can say that first, Accenture never give investment advice, especially in this context. But secondly, I want to mention blockchain is still a very volatile market with a lot of education needed. And it's still very dynamic. Especially nowadays, there is a lot of hype around NFT again. So I think the project obviously needs to be investigated. There are many mature and well-backed up projects in China, but also globally. But I think this is case by case to be evaluated.
I would just like to add, I think it is wise to invest time to understand what product makes sense or not.
Okay, let's go to the next one. Would it be safe to assume that the Chinese government will allow the use of crypto and blockchain in China from abroad in the future? Or is it a wild guess? Everyone here.
Yeah, maybe Oscar can complement after that. I would like to say that blockchain and crypto are two separate concepts. I think we need to talk them separately. And in some of the examples you can see throughout the presentation, blockchain is very much a reality in China, but crypto is completely different beast. So that's our opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. One thing, I think blockchain is kind of digital assets, you know, kind of one specific use case for cryptography is or Bitcoin is kind of one specific case from blockchains. Actually, the technology is good. And we can see that blockchain technology is actually widely used by different area in China as well. And then they got a promising or positive effect out of that because there are some specific characters, we need from blockchain technology. So I would say it's more like, blockchain is just standard general technology that we can use. It depends how you use it. In different use cases, we can use it. We can apply in different area, and then we have different results.
Yeah. Okay. Then I'd like to ask if there are any mature use cases in the blockchain and ESG area / carbon trading, tracking, not trading. Tracking.
I can give it a try. There's a lot of mature use cases. There are some mature solutions to it as well. I think there are some industry solutions like the resourceful blockchain network. I think this is something that IBM spun off, for instance. But there's other ESG related platforms right now implemented. We are working on some of as well. And there are trade finance networks that we see tapping into this area as well when you want to understand, how your funds are working. But essentially, what has been tried in ESG is really on the use cases is carbon tracking, it's the green financing, it is the prevention of greenwashing, And the more that you supposedly know in the entire value chain of products or whatever you want to have really knowledge about, transparency about, the more you know, the better you have ideas and can expose that information to the consumer. Now, whether or not these industry specific or general purpose platforms are mature, I think it really depends on case by case. That's really hard to say, but some are out there, but there's high attention from a sustainability point of view from every industry, so that's very high, well, for everyone.
Okay, thank you very much. This Liu Yening, if you would like to get more information, maybe you can drop us an email. Maybe we can exchange bilateral and maybe provide you some concrete user cases. So next,
it's a broad question. Yeah.
The speakers provided some examples of private or consortium blockchains. Are there any examples of public blockchains that are in production? Is there a trend towards private blockchains?
I can share one example. I can't really say the name of that company, but it's a kind of donation platform. So what it does is, like, people will donate their money for different incidents, and then the platform just will validate, and then they will they need to prove they are innocent. They need to prove that they actually transfer the money to the needers, and they will they have a clear, transparent the funding. So what they did is they used a kind of public chain for that, and then they also create their chain on our platform, like PaaS platform, to track all of the transmission transaction, and then it's kind of a mutual trusted chain. So either donator or other receiver, they can get information, and then they can confirm their transaction with the chain, with the token. So that's one specific case that I can share for that. But I mean, for public chain, as we mentioned, it's more transparent, and then from security perspective, actually more secure because there are more participants in this. But it's hard to manage, and they will consume a lot of energy, like both electronic energy or other computing energy, and that's kind of downside for that. But for private, it's easy to manage, but also it's easy to, if there's one of the nodes compromise, it will affect the whole chain as well. So that's also kind of a downside.
I would just complement one thing from our experience in the enterprise world. We see a huge trend towards permissioned blockchains for regulatory reasons, but as well for reasons of control. So if a blockchain is part of your enterprise solution, of your processes, tools, most necessarily you need to have somebody to call if, and excuse my French, shit hits the fan. So there needs to be someone in control, someone you can call if you need change, and change is inevitable. So with permissionless private blockchain systems, and they're mainly geared for enterprise solutions, there is a governance model around, and SLAs can be provided because you know who's participating. So we see that huge trend in the enterprise world.
Thank you, Oscar. Thank you, Björn, for those last comments on the trends. So we have reached the end of our time for this webinar. We could not answer all questions now during this live webinar. We will take them up, and we will align with Tencent and Accenture and get back to you with an answer. So with that, I would like to close this webinar. So I want to thank you, especially our participants, for taking the time and having the interest to listen and spend 1 hour with us. If you have any topic, subject that you are interested in, drop us an email. We will try to accommodate. We have an expert pool, and we can find the knowledge that you're interested in. We also thank our partners. Without them, we would not be able to hold these kind of events like today. And thank you again to Accenture and Tencent and our supporting partner SwissCham. And last but not least, we are active on many social media channels. So one of them, most likely you are using. So follow us, we are quite active on them, and we hope to see you soon again at the next event, live or physical. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.